Double copies of Sisymus, or no, actually not double. Okay, what's up you guys, how's it going? It's Papa, and I am going to be showing you guys a brand new updated Infernoid list that I have been playing for the current format. Basically, since I got done playing with Sprite, I decided to test the waters on other decks that I had, and I had a lot of people requesting me for an updated Infernoid list. Basically, since I posted the original profile in one of my earlier uploads on my channel when I first started, and I haven't really gone back to the deck since. This is a really fun list that I do enjoy playing, and I do like this deck a lot, and I really like the versatility that you can do with it. You can do it for going second, you can do it for going first. This is a predominantly going second list. I don't really have a going first list up there because, quite frankly, I just don't think the deck can go first in this format. Basically, with all the Ishizu cards in the format, you want to make sure that you can mill as many cards as possible with this deck, and I feel like they do a very good job at doing that, making it to where if you play against a tier matchup, you're not really in too much hot water. It really just depends on how you draw. But without further ado, guys, we're going to go ahead and get into the deck profile. Starting off with the main deck, we do play 2 copies of Infernoid and Nunku. This is very, very standard from past lists. What you guys don't know is that all the Infernoids cannot be normal summon or set, so that makes reasoning really good in this deck. When a Nunku is special summon, what it does is that you can destroy all other monsters on the field, and then during either player's turn, when a spell or trap is activated, you can tribute a monster anywhere, and then just or attribute a monster and then just negate the activation, and if you do, you banish it. So it doesn't destroy it, it banishes it. So it's really good against the tier element spells and traps, so that's really nice there. But Anunku, basically the daddy of the deck. For the mommy of the deck, we do play 2 copies of Deviati. So Deviati is kind of like a reverse Anunku. When this card is special summon, what it does is that you destroy all spell and trap cards on the field except for void cards, which is really cool because you get to protect your imagination, you get to protect your banishment. When a monster effect is activated, you can tribute monster. You can do is you tribute something and then negate and banish it. So basically really good against the tier element monsters. It's really good against elf. The card is really insane. Like, Deviati does a whole lot. Basically, if you can't kill your opponent in your follow-up turn, then you're basically just leaving one of these on board because they just act as extra forms of interruption. But that's it for mom and dad. Next, we play 2 copies of Atondal. I am doing a really heavy Infernoid lineup just because we are trying to mill cards, and I just felt like with Atondal is one of the big beefy guys of the deck. It is level 8, so I mean, it does put you at that limit. So basically, you have to just be careful with how you summon your Infernoids and what order you do. But basically, what this one does when it destroys a monster, by battle, it's going to be able to do a second attack, and then basically all the smaller Infernoids are quick effect DD Crows, so Atondal just basically does a really good job at that. And then if you're going for game, Atondal being able to just attack twice is really good as well. We play 3 copies of Sisymus. Sisymus is really insane in this deck. Basically, again, it has the same effect as Atondal, to where it is a quick effect DD Crow by tributing a card on the field. If Sisymus attacks anything, what it does is at the end of the damage step, it gets to banish a card on the field. So basically, like, if you run into like an Abramax or something, you can just go ahead and banish it. Basically, Sisymus does really well at getting rid of problematic cards, but I like playing 3 Sisymus because this is the one that I really want to mill, and it just has a really good effect. So plus it's a level 7, so it makes you be able to be more lenient with your Infernoid names in the graveyard that you're trying to summon. But we do like these cards. For the brick, we play the 1 Sajet. We are still playing Void Feast in the deck, even though we're strictly go second, so we do play the 1 Sajet. 2 copies of Petrulia. I really like this one, but I feel like 2 is fine. We're not really in a big like spell and trap heavy format, so but this one basically is that it's an MST, and you banish 1 monster to summon it as opposed to 2 like the other ones, except mom and dad, of course, because you need to banish 3 for those. But Petrulia is really good. It's got pretty good stats. I mean, 1800 attack is really good, and a level 4. If you want to play rank 4 Exezus in the extra deck, you can, but I don't, personally. We play 2 copies of Harmadic. A lot of names are going to be duplicated just because you are trying to just banish extra names so that way you can summon your other guys. And the name of the game is basically see Infernoid cards, and you want to make sure you're playing a good amount of them to where you can see them. So Harmadic is basically just a not a Baron in terms of negate, but Baron in terms of just like, hey, pop 1 once per turn. Really good, but it definitely is like the one that you can side out if you want to. One copy of Antra. I was debating on two of this. Antra is like really debatable depending on your game state. What it is that it's just once per turn compulse, and it's not really too great, but it's still an extra name and you just need names in this deck. And of course the best one we play is 3 copies of Decatron. You have to play 3 Decatron. I tried 2, didn't like it, so I just opted to play 3. You are playing 1 for 1 in the deck as well, so you have ways of getting to Decatron as fast as you can. Basically what it does is it dumps an Infernoid from the deck to the graveyard, and when it's dumped it copies that name's effect, and it's really good. So basically, like, you don't really normal summon anything in this deck. Basically your only normal summon is the Decatron, so you definitely have to play 3 of this. Sorry. Now don't skip away from the video, but we are playing Ishizu cards, so we do play 3 copies of Medora, 3 copies of Keldo, 3 copies of Kelbeck, and then I'm playing 3 copies of Yugioh. The reasoning behind why I play 3 Yugioh is basically because we are still trying to mill cards. I don't play the Exchange of Spirit, so milling the extra 5 doesn't really come up too much. For me, like, it never really has, because again, most of the meta has been tier element, so if you want to mill 10, that's fine, but just remember you're milling from both decks. So if you mill 10 cards on your opponent's side of the field and they're playing tier element, you're probably going to have a bad time, because then they could just mill their Medoras and their Keldos and they could shuffle your Infernities back to the deck, and you don't want to do that. So basically I'd really just like to play 3 Kelbeck, 3 Yugioh, and probably just not play these at all, but they come up defensive wise against tier element during like the turn 0, so they're just there to be there just for like recyclability. But I do like these cards. I like them a lot. They're actually really good for this deck, basically the reason why I wanted to play this deck again. But we do max out on all the names just because we're trying to trigger all the effects. And then the last monster I play, we play 3 copies of Lava Golem, so don't really need to say too much. You don't normal summon this deck other than Decatron, but even then Decatron is just like an extra normal summon that you probably are never going to see. You're basically just summoning it off of reasoning, or you're summoning it off of 1 for 1, but you have your ways of getting the Decatron. So Lava Golem is nice, and then if you pair it with Antra, you can just go Antra effect, bounce back the Lava Golem, and then Lava Golem them again, summon out Harmondic, pop the Lava Golem. You have really good ways of getting rid of the Lava Golem, but yeah, and it helps you win in time, so that's nice. For spell cards, for 1-ofs, we just play the 1 Reasoning, and then the 1 for 1. I was playing Monster Gate, but I'm actually not playing Lair of Darkness in this deck, mainly because I didn't want Lair of Darkness to, like, contribute for like any super polys, because if you haven't noticed, basically the whole deck is fire and earth, so you're not going to be running into like Starving Venom or the Dracostapelia. Basically, like, you're not going to be like losing to like dark heavy monsters. The Bistles don't really come up too, so like Bistles are basically seeing play in a lot of decks right now, and being able to play fire and earth monsters, just making sure all the Bistles stay turned off during your turn, is very nice. Basically, you're just playing these because they help you thin your deck. And granted, Reasoning isn't as good as it used to be, because since we are playing so many tier element names, or not tier elements, since we're playing so many Ishizu names, you definitely hit one of them every now and then, but it's just an extra way to thin your deck. So 1 and 1 of these. We are playing 2 copies of Prosperity. I didn't like 3. I kept seeing multiples of it for some reason when I played it at 3. Even though this is a 50 card list, I still opted just to play 2 copies of it, just because it was what I was more safe with. Some extra forms of interruption. We don't play any hand traps, so we play 3 copies of Droplet, and then we also play 3 copies of Super Poly in the main deck. What I like about these is that they're very defensive. They help you trigger your Ishizu cards too when you draw them. So basically it just helps you clear boards, it helps you benefit from boards, it helps you like negate boards. Basically these 6 cards, if you see like any one of them, if both of them, amazing. But this paired with like Kelbeck or paired with a Yugioh just really helps you play, and I like these cards a lot. And then for finishing off the main deck, we played the Void cards, of course, 3 Vanishment and 3 Imagination with the 1 Feast. I was debating a second Feast, but I ended up just playing the 1 because most of the time when you don't kill your opponent on your follow-up turn, you basically just lose. So just playing the Feast just helps you make sure that you have like some kind of form of interruption going second. If you do the Imagination play and then like you still haven't killed your opponent and you have Vanishment, you can just pitch a card for Vanishment, add yourself a Feast, and then you just have extra interruption during your opponent's turn. So I don't know. It doesn't really come up too much because most of the time I've just been killing my opponent anyway, but 50 card main deck, no more, no less. For the extra deck, we do play 2 copies of Terra. I shouldn't really have to say too much about this card. It's really cracked for what it does. Basically what it does is it takes a Nunku, Deviati, and 1 or more Infernoid monsters, which is insane because with Imagination, basically what it does is that you can send basically materials or up to 6 depending on if your opponent controls a monster special summon from the extra deck. And then when you summon Tierra, you basically have a loaded up graveyard full of Infernoid names. And also what it does too is that when Tierra is summoned, depending on how many materials you use, you're basically going to be using the first effect. You get to send 3 cards from the extra deck to the graveyard. So what you're sending most of the time is Garura, or you're sending Entis. Both of these have their usages. Basically, I keep double Garura and double Entis because, again, I am playing Prosperity, so I want to have multiples of different targets. But when you do Entis, and then Garura, when you send these 3 off of Terra, you're basically getting 2 pops for the price of 1 summon, and then you get 2 pops and then a draw 1, and then it also helps you chain block 2, so you send 1, 2, and 3. You go chain link 1 Entis, chain link 2 Entis, and then chain link 3 Garura. That way you just can't get these stopped in the chain. So, and if you didn't Prosperity, you get to draw a card, so that's always clean. Basically, if you're not sending the Garura because you Prosperity, you're probably going to be sending Omega. It's just there. I don't know. It just puts back banished names, so it helps you put back extra Infernoids that got banished, but it's really just preference. I don't know. You could play a 3rd Entis, you could play a 3rd Garura, whatever you want to do, but I usually just play the 2 and 2. It's been fine like that. For the rest of the fusions, we play 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp, and then 1 Draco Stapelia. This is just for breaking dark heavy boards. I don't know. I didn't really have anything else to play, so I just opted for this. 1 Linkuriboh for the Decatron basically just helps you get an extra Infernoid name into the graveyard. 1 Azza and 1 Hida because, again, we're not playing any darks, so Hida you can use to make with any Infernoid, and then the Azza is to go ahead and just make with any of the extra Ishizu cards. You can bring back one of your opponent's Ishizu cards and then just go into your Mac Daddy Abramax. Abramax is basically the win condition. What it does is that any monster that points to it, it gains attack 2, and then basically what you do is you attack with the Echomax with 2 Infernoids pointing to it, and then after that you activate either the Sisamus or the Atondal most of the time. You tribute off the Echomax so that way it makes it to where the Infernoids can just attack for game. So a really cool combo, and it's a really common combo for people that have played Infernoid before, but definitely do like double Echomax in the deck. And then last card I played is a Lambda. This is just because I'm playing Omega on the side, but I'll show you guys that shortly. But that's it for the extra deck. We are playing 15 cards in the extra deck. Again, no more, no less. And then rounding off the deck, we have the side deck. So 3 copies of Gamma and 1 Driver just for going second. This basically helps you make sure that your Banishment is live for going first 2 if you need to. This helps you against like Dweller, against Shifter, basically all the floodgates that just try to stop you turn 1. But this card just helps you out a lot. 1 copy of Scythe because we are playing traps for going first. We do play 2 Sanctum. Something that I really wanted to try was Get Out. I really like this because it's basically essentially Compulse, but since Tier Element is very popular in the format right now, it helps put back the problem as opposed to sending it to the graveyard or sending it back to the hand like Stormy Mirror Force would do, or just like Torrential would do. So I like Get Out because it gets rid of 2 for the price of 1, and it, instead of them having the materials go back to the graveyard or back into the deck, it literally just puts it into the extra deck, which is basically where the issue is. But I don't know, I'm just testing it. I don't know how much I like it. I haven't really resolved it, but I'm also playing 1 Trap Trick. I was playing 2 originally, but I opted to like change some stuff in the side deck around a lot. But so far, I'm not too sure how I feel about this card. This card might change for something else. I'm just not sure what yet. The 1 Trap Trick just helps you get to any one of these. It basically becomes a 3rd copy of each. 1 Feather Duster for back row. And then also for back row, we play 2 copies of Cyclone because we're trying not to lose to Mystic Mind, trying not to lose to like Metaverse, Demise of the Land, bullshit. We're just trying not to lose to Mystic Mind. And then the last card I play in the side deck is 2 copies of Ultimate Slayer. You could play 3 if you want. I was originally playing 3 and then didn't play Cyclone at all. But basically, I just changed that ratio up. I went for the 2-2 split. That way I could take out the second trap trick and play basically both of these. So that's it for the deck, guys. I know this was a little bit of a longer video. I do apologize, but it is a 50 card main deck with side and extras, so it was quite a bit to go over. But I am enjoying this deck. I really do enjoy playing with the Infernoid cards because they are a lot of fun. And I really do like mill-based strategies a lot as well. Like I'm a big Lightsworn nut. I've been playing that deck for basically as long as I can remember because it's just so fun to play. But so far this deck has been a lot of fun to play, and I really do enjoy like the theorying behind it because again, you're basically going for game or you're going to lose. And yeah, I mean, can't really say too much there because again, the deck doesn't have too much play in the meta because it does tend to brick a lot, but that's just because if you draw only names, you're probably going to have a bad time. But if you pair it up with like any of these like Ishizu stuff, then maybe it is a little bit more viable. But also take in mind, like if you're in a tier heavy format like we are right now, odds are is they're going to be doing a lot of the milling for you. And yeah, basically when it comes back to you, you just do your own milling and then you should see most of your deck. But it really just depends on your situation. But until next time, guys, this has been Papa, and I will catch you all in my next video. Take care, everyone.